I will tell you that every time we land the plane here in Texas, when it's not being flown by American Airlines, I just said this to the staff. We were landing just the other day, and I said, I feel safe. I feel better here in Texas. And every single one of us on the plane said, oh, my gosh, I was just thinking that. Every time we land in Texas, there's something different here. There is something that is, it's common sense, it's decency, and quite honestly, the citizens know what a republic is. Now, we're quite honestly letting far too many foreigners in. I mean, we're letting...
Meaning what, exactly?
Californians.
Oh, okay.
And they're going to screw this place up. You got to stop the people coming from New York City. And
after we got here, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Well, we're Texans.
So we're closing the door behind us.
Exactly right.
Okay.
We're kicking the door closed behind us. But there's something different here. And part of it comes from our governor, Rick Perry, who is, I think, becoming more and more remarkable every day because while he, I think, was more like me for a lot of his life. I mean, he's much smarter than I am. But, he was kind of like, okay, well, we're good. And you do the right thing. I think this guy is truly waking up on fronts and then in a position to take action, unlike very many people. I don't know very many people that are doing the kinds of things or talking the way he is about what is coming. He has brushed up on the Fed quite a bit lately, and quantitative easing and our money supply and everything else. I know because I've talked to him several times. And he knows it inside and out. He's on the phone with me now. Governor, how are you, sir?
Hey, Mr. Beck, I'm fine, thank you. It's a beautiful day in Texas.
Wow, I must have offended you because he's calling me Mr. Beck now.
Never, ever offended me.
What happened with the Fed last week, can you explain how bad this is?
Well, a year ago, I was very concerned about what we were seeing with the Fed, with the quantitative easing. We've seen this movie before with Japan. As a matter of fact, some of the people who are putting policy in place in America today were advising the Japanese government back in those days, and they're doing the same thing here. Our concern always was, this is just simple economics. If you have basically a fixed gross product out there, if you will, a fixed economy, and you pump more money into it, you print more money, you're going to devalue those dollars that the other people have in their hand. So, that's the simple way to look at this, is that a quantitative easing is going to, just on its face, make that money be worth less. There were two groups of people that really got hurt with this third round of it. I refer to it as quantitative easing infinity, not three, because historically there's been a size and a time limit put on these things, and they did three things, Glenn, that were really never done before and of great concern. And I'd like to just, if I could, just go down through them simply. As I said, this is an open-ended stimulus, if you will. There's no time restraint. There's no size restraint to this thing. And, what they did is they went out and they bought these mortgage-backed securities and these long-term treasuries. The banks, more than happy to get engaged in that. The stock market went up. This is a short-term, I think I heard somebody call it a sugar high, a short-term monetary effort, I think, to impact the election. The timing on this is greatly suspect. And the second thing that they did that has never been done before is that they targeted this. Bernanke clearly said, Glenn, that this was targeted to the labor market. Until the labor market gets, I think he used the words, substantially better, then they were going to continue this printing of money, this buying back of these, I think they call it large-scale asset purchases. And so those two truly of great concern. The weak labor market is what is driving this, and I will suggest to you, concern about how the election is going to turn out for those in power today. It is a underlying driving cost. The third thing that that people need to have brought their attention, and this gets back to the straight-up issue of why did they do it and why did they do it now? There was nothing new in Bernanke's statement. I mean, there's no new crisis out there. Unemployment numbers have been in the tank for a long period of time. This is obviously a very slow economic recovery, and that's a whole other show that you can do on that. But the point is, there was nothing other than we're 60 days out from an election, and we need to have a stock market push up so people will feel better about the economy and vote for
the stock market is bogus. It has been disconnected from all reality for about 5 years. And people have got to stop looking at the stock market. It kills me. People say they hate Wall Street, but then they'll take a measure of their health by Wall Street. It's not a measure of our health anymore. Can I ask you a question? You have I'm in Texas for a reason, and I'm in Texas because it's one of the last places where a man can truly be free. It took me a year to build radio studios in New York City. It took me 6 weeks to build high definition studios in Texas. You get out of the way and you let an entrepreneur be an entrepreneur, and I believe that is why people are coming to Texas in record numbers, and you got to put a stop to that. But people are coming, and I believe the entire world can come to Texas if Texas has its house in order. Who has our gold? I know the University of Texas. Was it University of Texas that asked for the gold to be right?
UTEMCO is what it's called. They own, I think, approaching $1 billion of gold, actual gold, and it is stored in a warehouse in New York. There's both legislation and I think by virtue of rule by a vote of the UTEMCO board, and that's the University of Texas Investment Corporation, and they can move that gold to the state of Texas, which I think is very high on some people's, including mine, our list, to be able to have actual possession of that gold. And as a matter of fact, we've got places in the state that are as secure as any that they've got in New York City, maybe more secure.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think it's about 8 basis points that it costs to store it. So not only will we be having a better return on that investment, if you will, but also we'll be in control of it, which makes a lot of sense.
So are you going to ask for Texas gold to be moved?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very much in favor of this is if you have the facilities, if you have the secure facility to be able to have whatever your resource is, and save money because somebody else is not storing it for you and securing it, why wouldn't you do that? Particularly in the climate that we're in today, it makes all the sense in the world to have whatever those resources are, whether they're gold or some other precious metal or some other valuable resource, put it in your control.
Governor,
rely upon somebody else.
I personally know of about 5 or 6 governors who get it, who are gravely concerned about the direction of the country and are concerned about the direction of our economy and put their state first in saying we're not going to be able to depend on the federal government. In fact, the federal government may become a very dangerous thing in a global economic calamity, and they are trying to put themselves in a position to where the state can be self-reliant. What steps are you taking?
Well, obviously, having your resources that I'm talking about, the precious metals, et cetera, that you actually own, that you've invested in your own custody, and obviously managing your state from the standpoint of your banking laws, et cetera, that allow for there are a number of places in the world that have sovereign banking rules that allow them to manage their banking industry. State banking laws are that way to a great degree. So not having to rely upon. I cannot tell you how.
Wait. Hang on just a second. Am I hearing you say that you want to develop a sovereign banking system here in Texas?
Well, we have one in our state banking system, and the fact is, I think we need to look at all of the different ways in this in the states to protect your assets and to protect people's money. And this is just straight up competition between the states, and whether it's the way you manage health care, or the way that you educate your children, or the way that you build transportation infrastructure, the way that you manage your banking sector and your state banking laws. All of that is in the purview of in our case, the Texas legislature and the people of the state of Texas from a constitutional standpoint. So it would make all the sense in the world for every state to look at how are we best going to protect the assets in our state that are in our state banking system. And nothing out of the ordinary there, but it requires you to be competitive and not let the federal government tell you how to run your business.
I'm less than a minute away from a network break, but can you give any comment at all on what Mitt Romney said about 47 or it's actually 49% of the American people not paying any taxes, so they won't listen to his lower tax. It means nothing, his lower tax pitch.
Well, I think we've all had concern that as you reach that majority of people in the country that are on subsistence, if you will, or from some different program in the government, whatever that may be, that they're conflicted when you start talking about we must, as a country, go through some very painful decisions dealing with programs like Social Security and Medicare, and we think that certainly that Medicaid needs to be block granted back to the states. But the fact is, we're going to face tumultuous economic times. The question is going to be, when are we going to face up to this, and how bad is it going to be? When Mr. Bernanke is either makes the decision or is directed to print more money, it just means that inflation is going to be worse. It means that it's going to be more painful. And Americans need to face this issue straight up, that we must work our way through this, and the sooner the better. And that's what Mr. Romney talks about and Paul Ryan does a great job of explaining to the American people that, listen, this is coming. The question's going to be, is it going to be more painful or less painful, and what's the timing?
All right. Governor Rick Perry, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be in.
It's always an honor to be with you. God bless you.
Likewise. Keep Texas, my friend.